Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, dwyervip.com. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Now, let me be clear here on my agenda in this video, because I'm going to name some names, right? I'm not trying to stamp out performance-enhancing drugs from professional sports, right? I'm not, because quite frankly, I feel that might be a losing battle. We've reached the point now where, some PEDs can only be detected within a short time period and can only be detected by things like complicated amino acid tests, etc. Right? The people in the game know this. The public doesn't. We want to believe that VADA can show up on a random basis and catch an athlete at the right time, detect drugs in their system. We have a hard time believing that there are drugs that the testers might not even know about. Right? They're drugs that, quite frankly, disappear from the body quickly, but can spike testosterone to help in an athletic performance. Let's think it through, too. And understand my agenda is just to figure out what's going on. So, if there's an event taking place, I know who is on PEDs, or I suspect I know who's on PEDs, or I might know that the athlete who I think is superior is up against an athlete who's on PEDs who might beat them. My angle's a gambling angle, right? That's the angle I'm talking about here. But just understand that people who are on the periphery of the sport are now front and center in the sport. They're being sought out by athletes looking for an edge, right? And the system is set up for plausible deniability. So let's take VADA. Understand, I could be juicing in training. Let's say I'm retired, so I'm not subject to drug testing. So I'm using meldonium. In the gym, I am lifting weights. My workouts are longer, they're harder, I have more stamina. Right? My blood is just fueling my body with adrenaline. So I'm able to train at not an A level, I'm able to train at an A+ level. My body's in peak condition. I've trained harder than I could train unenhanced. So then, of course, I decide to make a comeback. I wait a month. Then I declare that I'm willing to be drug tested, right? On a regular basis. Understand, I've already gotten the advantage from the drug because my body is already enhanced in a way that it wouldn't have been if I didn't have the drugs during training. Now, Angel Heredia is someone you need to Google, right? Don't go by word of mouth on this. Google Angel Heredia, Google performance-enhancing drugs, Google track and field, right? The track world knows who this guy is. I'm going to watch my language here, right, to make sure that I don't get sued. But understand the track world knows this guy's record. Now, I'm all for second chances in life. I truly am. Right? If Angel Heredia wants to help people in boxing, he can knock himself out. But you, the fan, needs to know what's going on here. So you have fighters out there who have earned adulation, fan bases, right? When they were younger, they were the man. Now they're in their mid-30s. They're slowing down a little bit. They still have the fans. They've grown their fan bases, right? But now they might not have their A games, or at least their stamina, their success in the ring might not be where it was when they were younger. It's that kind of fighter who, in my opinion, is vulnerable to deciding that he's going to try to prolong his career by, wink, wink, hiring one of these strength and conditioning coaches, right? Think about how ridiculous these names are. Strength and conditioning coaches. These professional athletes decide in their mid-30s they've been doing it the wrong way, right? Even though they've been world-class athletes. So now they're going to hire someone new. And they're going to take supplements that the person recommends, right? So Angel Heredia had such a fighter, Lucian Bute, in his mid-30s, right? People here online know Bute is a fighter I've pubbed in the past. I like Bute. I even picked Bute over Carl Froch. I was wrong about that, but I picked Bute over Carl Froch. Well, let's just say Bute decided he was going to hire Angel Heredia. Now, Angel Heredia owns his own, supplement company, right? They come up with formulas that they give to manufacturers to create supplements on their behalf, right? Fair enough. Now, Heredia, given that Bute failed a drug test, right, Heredia has written a piece that appears in boxingscene.com. Please Google Angel Heredia, boxingscene.com. Right? As you read it, if you're an attorney, tears are going to come to your eyes. Right? This piece is well written. Obviously, some lawyer sat down, knew what words to use. Heredia is basically saying, look, my company is clean. Right? We just came up with a formula that we gave to the drug manufacturer, an outfit called Pharmagenic, to put in supplements. And the formula we gave to the manufacturer didn't include any tainted drugs, any drugs that would run afoul of drug testing, right? VADA requirements. Our formula was legal. For there to have been an illegal drug in the manufactured supplement that Lucian Bute took, that means the lab had to put it in the supplement, right? It's the lab's fault, not our fault, right? Angel Heredia is basically saying, maybe I made mistakes in the past. I didn't make a mistake now, right? I have been on the up and up with this boxer. The lab made the mistake, not me, right? Our formula doesn't contain any tainted drugs. It sounds good, right? Really does sound good. Until you investigate the manufacturer, Pharmagenic. You're going to find out that in 2014, Pharmagenic apparently was found to have serious FDA violations. Serious FDA violations. Now, I'm going to pick my words carefully here, right, for legal reasons. Just understand that Angel Heredia's company was using a manufacturer that had in the past, the recent past, 2014, according to reports, serious FDA violations. In sum, Lucian Bute hired Angel Heredia, who had had problems in the past in the track and field world involving performance-enhancing drugs. Right? Bute hired Heredia, who himself hired a lab, a drug manufacturer, that had serious FDA violations. Welcome to the world of world-class boxing. Right? I'm just telling you that several insiders, Frank Warren among them, believe that there is undisclosed drug use going on in the sport. Right? The whole system, in my opinion, is built on plausible deniability. Fans don't understand how sophisticated drug masking and drug use now is in professional sports. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just read a few paragraphs here from a post that Trevor Graham, right, Google him, track and field, right, a coach who was involved in performance-enhancing drugs. Trevor might have an agenda, he might not have an agenda, right? But I want you to Google Trevor Graham and Angel Heredia, right? Track and field. Just Google it, do your own independent research. Trevor Graham came out recently with a post where he was talking about certain things he believed, or at least he was asserting, that concern Angel Heredia. Now, it's up to you, the viewer. I'm not going to make a statement on whether it's true or untrue for legal reasons. It's up to you, the viewer, to do your homework to determine whether Trevor Graham's statements are correct. Here's what Trevor Graham had to say, and some of it's not grammatically correct. I'm just going to read it as it is. Heredia state to agents that H2O-2 is better than EPO. He describes H2O-2 as a hydrogen peroxide. He stated that a 3% solution is injected into the bloodstream. He also states that it is taken 2 days before a race and it maximizes the availability of oxygen in the blood. He stated that the protocol also involved ATP right before a race. Heredia stated that gonadrolin is a hormone that triggers the production of testosterone. It is injected approximately 1 hour before a race. It is an analog of gonadotropin and can only be detected through an amino test. An individual's testosterone level rises from 300 ng to 800 to 900 ng quickly. Heredia confirmed that he gets the raw material from China and Italy. He states that he mixes it with alcohol so that it can be ready. Heredia affirmed that he also distributes Garef, a human growth hormone releaser to athletes. He states that Garef is cheaper than HGH and helps to maintain good HGH levels. Now, the public barely knows what HGH is. You think the public knows what Garef is? You think people understand that a test 2 days before a fight might actually miss a drug given to an athlete that can wash through the athlete's system hours before a test, that can have the athlete hopped up on testosterone during the match, right? Really, we're far past the point of testing for drugs. Now we really have to be testing testosterone and epitestosterone levels. Now, let me say this too. In boxing, all fights don't happen in the same location. They happen all over the globe, right? Understand the standards involved and having the fight take place vary all over the globe. right? They're fighters I've mentioned here online in prior videos with eye problems who I'm not sure would be licensed to fight in certain states in the United States, but who I know would get a license in other states, right? Here in the United States, every state has its own state boxing commission. Understand, if I'm suspended in one state, I can't get a license in another. But if I'm deemed unfit to fight in a state, I can still apply for a license elsewhere. Right? I fail the eye test in one state, I can get a license elsewhere. Right? The sport is a hodgepodge. It's going to continue to be a hodgepodge because there's too much money involved. As I pointed out, Joe Frazier, toward the end of his life, admitted that he was blind in one eye for his trilogy against Muhammad Ali. Think about the money the fight, the first one, generated. Think about the money the Thriller in Manila generated. Right? Understand, fans want to see these fights. Part of the blame rests with us. We don't want to know the truth. We want the fights. The fighters want the fight. Right? On a libertarian perspective, right, the fighters have a right to take the risks they deem appropriate for themselves. But let's not kid ourselves. When you come across some great statement written by legal counsel, it appears, right, in which some guy who admits to having a past that's tinged with performance-enhancing drugs tries to tell you that he's an innocent bystander when the lab he hired, his company hired, had FDA violations, and when the fighter who he's assisting fails a drug test, I'll just say that's ridiculous. Right? Look around the world of boxing right now. Let's use our own two eyes. We don't have to be academics. You have amateur tapes here on YouTube right now of several fighters when they were amateurs. Right? I'm talking about guys already in their 20s who are amateurs. And then you look at the guy today and you have to ask yourself, is the guy, in a bodybuilding contest or is he in a boxing match? Right? Guys are putting on a lot of muscle. Guys look great. You look at fighters in their 30s. Let's use our heads. Right? And suddenly the guy is looking more ripped than he's ever looked in his career. And this is after being a world-class athlete, a world-class boxer in his 20s and most of his 30s. Right? So it's really all of a nod and a wink type thing. All right, we get it. The lab used with regard to the Lucian Bute case, FDA violations, okay, I get it. Of all the people out there Bute could hire, he hired this guy. All right, sure, okay. But please, boxing, let's not push the narrative of the sport being clean of drugs too far. How many of you out there believe that 90% of the fighters are clean? That these fighters aren't looking for shortcuts to make weight, to have stamina. Right? There's a Boxing Hall of Famer online. You can actually YouTube his deposition in which he admits to using EPO. Right? I'm not demanding that guys like this be taken out of the hall. Who knows what drugs guys used back in the day? Right? Who knows? But please, can we refrain from these ridiculous articles where guys who were involved with performance-enhancing drugs are releasing statements to us trying to claim that they don't know and haven't been involved in any untoward activity in boxing? Right? Let's just say you should take all of these statements with a grain of salt. I'm not accusing Angel Heredia of wrongdoing in boxing, right? He admits to doing wrong in track and field. For legal reasons, I'm not accusing him of wrongdoing here in boxing. Let's just say, though, that you, the fan, should know that the lab he hired had FDA violations as recently as 2014. Right? You should know that. He doesn't tell you in his statement. You should know that. Right? You should know that Lucian Bute failed his A sample and his B sample. Right? Let me say this too. I watched the James DeGale, Lucian Bute fight. And it was interesting. As I watched it, I thought a couple of thoughts. First was, hey, DeGale dominated the first half of that fight, didn't he? But the second half of the fight, Bute came back a bit. And as I was watching it, I thought, wow, Bute has more stamina than I remember. Right? Again, for legal reasons, I'm not accusing Bute of wrongdoing in that fight. But I was wondering, as I watched the second half of the fight, I thought, wow, how is Bute with this much stamina? And has DeGale stayed too long at 168 pounds? Right? Boxing fans should ask those questions and more. Right? Bute isn't Angel Heredia's only client in the sport of boxing. Right? We as fans need to figure out, what lab is Heredia using? Right? For his legal supplements. Right? Why has a fighter in his mid-30s, early 40s, in some cases, decided to hire Angel Heredia? Right? In betting on a fight, you need to keep track of the nutritional consultants. And you need to think hard, especially when it comes to live betting during a fight. You need to think hard about the possibility that the fighter might suddenly have extra stamina late in the fight, whether it's deserved or not, right? Our goal is to beat the casino. For that, especially in boxing these days, you need to have both eyes open. I encourage you, the viewer, again, to Google Trevor Graham, Angel Heredia, right? Pharmagenic, the lab company that Heredia was using, as well as Heredia's statement, distancing himself from liability for Lucian Bute's failed drug tests, as well as Bute's own statements about his lack of awareness, right? Too many times with these failed drug tests, everyone claims that they don't know what happened. Right? That's always the case, isn't it? Isn't that the plausible deniability that we've all been living through? Anyway, that's how I see it. Let me hear from you. If you have your own drug story, I hope you leave it in the comment section to the video. Let me protect my subscribers, though. What I want you to do for legal reasons, and I'm serious about this, is don't say, look, this guy's a juicer. Right? Don't make a statement of fact. Just say, I wonder if this guy's a juicer. Right? Speculation normally isn't legally actionable. Right? So if you are going to leave a comment to this video, think it through. Because we've already seen with Lance Armstrong, athletes who have juiced, who have tried to lash out at fans who are just trying to figure out what's going on as we are here. Thanks for stopping by.